In lesson 7-8, we're going to be working on solving division measurement problems. You will need your whiteboard marker, eraser, and then your math journal as we finish up the math warm-up. So let's go ahead and begin on our whiteboards. Would you please number 1 to 3 on your whiteboard? So number 1, 2, and 3. Knowing that 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, how many centimeters are in 5 meters? How many are in 10 meters? And how many are in 20 meters? So remember, we're going to take times 5, so you can just write your answer. So 5 times 100, 10 times 100. Go ahead and pause the video. All right, 5 times 100 would be 500 centimeters. 10 meters, 1 times 1 is 1, and 1, 2, 3 zeros. 1,000 centimeters. 20 times 100 in each one gives me 2,000 centimeters. Go ahead and erase. Number 1 to 3 again. Knowing that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, how many seconds would be in 2 minutes? In 5 minutes? And in 10 minutes? Write your answers only, please. Go ahead and pause the video, write your answers down, and then restart it. So 2 times 60 would be 120. 5 minutes times 60 seconds would be 30. Remember, this is, and then we still add another 0 on 300. And 10 times 60 is 600. Go ahead and erase. Number 1 to 3 again. 1 ton is the same as 2,000 pounds. So how many pounds are in 3 tons, 5 tons, and 10 tons? Write your answers only. Go ahead and pause your video. Three times 2,000 is 6,000. 5 times 2,000 equals 10,000. And 10 times 2,000 is 20,000. All right, go ahead and wipe off your whiteboard. One more warm-up problem before we dive into that math journal. It says Emily poured an entire 2-liter container of apple juice into 8 separate glasses. Each glass held the same amount. How many millimeters did each glass hold? So what I know is I'm moving from a liter answer to a milliliter. So the first thing I want to do is change 2 liters into how many milliliters? Well, I know that there are 1,000 milliliters in each liter. So 2 times 1,000 would be 2,000 milliliters. And then I'm dividing it into 8 glasses. So I need to do division. So let's take 2,000 and divide it into 8 glasses. How many times does 8 go into 20? Goes in there 2 times. 8 times 2 is 16. Bring down your 0. How many times does 8 go into 40? Goes in there 5 times. I still have to bring down my 0. How many 8s are there in 0? 0. So there are 250 milliliters in each glass. So that's what we're going to work on today, is we are going to work on dividing with number stories. So now we're going to go ahead and move into our math journal. We're going to go ahead and begin with page 248. So would you open your math journal to page 248? Solving division measurement problems. The 4th graders at Basilone Elementary School voted to hold their spring celebration at a local skating rink. The 4th grade student council is in charge of renting the skating rink and planning the celebration. Help the student council make plans by answering the questions below. Number 1. The skating rink can be rented for a full session or a half session, which is half as long as a full session. A full session is 7 hours and 30 minutes. The student council wants to rent the rink for half of a session. How many minutes long in a half of a session? So I'm going to start with the hours first. I'm going to convert that to minutes because my answer is asking for minutes. So on your math journal page, would you please take 7 hours times 60 minutes in an hour. Plus, remember, we have that 30 minutes to add on to it. So go ahead and add that 30. And then we know we want just half of that session. So we're going to divide it in half or divide it by 2. That will give me my missing amount of time. So 7 times 60, well, 7 times 6 is 42. Plus 1 0. Plus add on 30 to that. 30 minutes is 450. And now we need to divide it by 2. So over on the side, would you please set up 450 divided by 2? How many 2s are in 4? Well, there's 2. And then does McDonald's, I'm going to multiply. 2 times 2 is 4. Does McDonald's sell? Let's subtract. That's smaller than my divisor, so I can bring down my 5. Now I say, how many 2s are there in 5? 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. 1 is smaller than my divisor, so I can bring down my 0. And the last thing to do is, how many 2s are there in 10? There's 5. And 5 times 2 is 10. So how many minutes in a half a session? 225 minutes. Don't forget to label your answer. Number 2. It costs $1,250 to rent the skating rink for a half session. So remember that. The student council is $500 for renting the skating rink. They must raise the rest of the money by selling tickets to students who attend the celebration. If they charge $6 for each ticket, how many students must attend to make sure they have enough money to rent the skating rink? So let's start with the cost of the rink. So let's take $1,250. Go ahead and write this down. Minus the $500 that they already have. Then, once we have that, and then we can divide that by $6 per person to find out how many tickets we're going to need. I'm going to erase this over on the side. You'll probably have a little bit more room than I will. You can find another spot to write this. So what we need to do is take 1,250 and subtract 500. Let's see how much they still need to raise. Would you please go ahead and subtract? They need to raise $750. So now right below that, we have to take that $750 divided by 6, and that will tell us how many tickets they need to sell. So how many times does 6 go into 7? Goes in there once. 6 times 1 is 6. Subtract. That's smaller than 6, so I can bring down my 5. How many 6s are there in 15? There's 2. 6 times 2 is 12. Go ahead and subtract. 3 is smaller than 6, so now I can bring down my last number, the 0. Then, how many 6s are there in 30? There's 5, and 6 times 5 is 30. How many tickets do they need to sell in order to raise enough money? They need to sell 125 tickets. Number 3, Tara, the president of the student council, wants to decorate the handrail around the skating rink with balloons. She wants each string tying a balloon to the handrail to be about 5 feet long. If she has 60 yards of string, how many balloons can she tie to the handrail? Notice I'm talking yards and feet, so I need to do some conversion here. There are 3 feet in 1 yard, to let you know that. So if she has 60 yards of string, go ahead and we're going to take 60 times 3 feet in a yard. That will convert it to feet for over here. Then I can divide that by 5 because each balloon will need 5 feet tied to it, and that will tell me how many balloons she can tie up. So let's start by taking 60 times 3, which is 180, and divide that by 5. Let's go ahead and take 180 divided by 5. Make sure you're writing this somewhere in your math journal page. How many 5s are there in 18? There are 3. 5 times 3 is 15. Go ahead and subtract. 3 is smaller than 5, so I can bring down my 0. How many 5s are there in 30? There are 6, and 6 times 5 is 30. So she can tie 36 balloons. All right, I know there's a number 4, but the next math lesson video will continue with number 4 and then on to page 248. But those are just the ones we're going to do together today.